We've got a good one for you today. The life-changing journey of being selected as a Gurkha. These are young guys looking to join the elite unit within the British Army, the Gurkhas. Let's get into it.
This is Gurkha class of 2019. Side of the world.
For them though, it's life-changing. So yeah, they're thousands of miles away. They're going to be fighting for a completely different country, sovereignty, government. But for them, it's crazy. Their sense of pride, they're courageous, and also it's an income. Like they just said, they've come from one of the poorest countries and one of the less developed countries in the world. And they're coming over to the UK where it's a completely different lifestyle, but they're going to be getting paid a lot more than they would if they remained in Nepal. 10,000 apply yearly to fight for the British Army. We can't even get 10,000 out of a population of 70 odd million in the UK. So you can see how much this means to him and how many guys want to do it. I'm sure they're going to show you, but one of the toughest selections within the British Army.
It's a friendship like no other, a British Foreign Legion over 200 years old. With the UK's crisis in recruitment, we need them more than ever. But how do you find the very best Gurkhas? How do the British Army protect them from the corruption so rife in Nepal? And once in, is it all they dreamed of?
Gurkha! Company!
The first stage of selection for the British Army takes place each year in September, one in the west of Nepal in Pokhara and one in the east, here in hot, sticky Dharan. Young men from all around get up in the early hours and travel miles to be here for a chance of a job in the British Army.
Today we got one hilly district, that's Dankuta, and we got 5 Tarai districts. Normally they're farming background, especially in Tarai district, they're farming backgrounds, and hilly district also farming background. But nowadays most of the boys from the hills do come down to the cities, near the cities, for a better education, better life, or probably better facilities as well. Yeah.
This year, the recruiting campaign was bigger than ever before. They advertised on every one of Nepal's 72 radio stations, and the recruiting officers, retired Gurkhas known as Gulawallas, travelled to all corners of the country, gathering young men together on football pitches, tennis courts and cafes. They modernised their website. Potential recruits, known as PRs, could even email Deputy Head of Recruiting Major Sandy Nightingale personally. And they did.
I know they've put a massive recruitment out there, but from what I've heard from when I was in the British Army speaking to Gurkhas, they're not really short of applicants. You know, so many of them want to do it for a better life, to, make their family proud and to make themselves proud and to prove that they can do it. So they maybe want more numbers, but from when speaking to ex-Gurkhas, in my experience, they don't really need it because so many guys want to do it.
I do get quite a few emails from PRs asking some quite various questions, from are my teeth okay with photographic evidence to can women join this year? What we're trying to do is dispel the myth that only certain Nepalis can join the British Army. It's still amazing to me that people think it's only certain castes, people think that you have to be rich, people think all kinds of things that are all wrong. We will take anyone who's good enough. We make sure there's a British officer on every single stand as well, just so no one could think, oh, I'm a Gurung, he's a Rai, maybe he's going to give me a worse mark.
And that's how they think, because different surnames, different areas, you have a lot of Gurungs, you have a lot of Rais, and it depends on sort of where you come from in Nepal, will depend on what sort of name you have. And they do have that issue where they maybe don't get on so well, and they may think they may be looked at differently. But it's amazing that there's still this myth out there that they may not have money, not from the right area, because it's been going on for 200 years. It's such a tradition. I would have thought that they all could have known that they could join because it's such a big thing over there.
There are 125 castes or ethnic groups throughout Nepal, and historically, Gurkhas came from just 4 of these groups. Over the years, the army has succeeded in reaching more diverse sectors of society, in part thanks to its dedicated team of Gulawallas who go out in tireless search of the best young men. This year's newest and most baby Gulawalla, aged just 45, made a dramatic entrance, bringing in record numbers from the east.
Wow, I'm really enjoying my job. Because I want to do something for my countries, the British Army. Everybody in the world, this is one of the best army in the world.
Due to the searing heat, the 800-metre run has become the first test of the day, and the locals have turned out to cheer the boys on. Or perhaps eye up the competition.
Look how big this is.
With the futures of so many potential recruits resting on the selection process, there is no room for human error.
Now, you wouldn't get this at a standard British Army selection. Be behind camp, it'd just be you lot. No, people aren't going to turn out and cheer you on. But for these, it does.
Every single score that's written down gets checked by someone else. And I personally will check every single score of those who are selected. Then the Chief of Staff will check every single score of those who are selected.
That doesn't happen with standard
you have
selection.
to understand Nepali society generally. Nepal is a country where people pay money to get just about everything. And therefore, for us to kind of display ourselves as being free, fair and transparent, we have to go to huge lengths to convince people that that's the case. We'll tell them not to pay money to anyone to get into the British Army.
The first exam is maths.
Similarly, in the exam hall, every question must be unique. By 3 p.m, the test paper will be in the local bazaar, being sold for a few rupees.
No way.
Well, writing the papers is extremely difficult. We do keep them under strict lock and key, and then in order to generate those papers, to proofread those papers, to proofread them again and again, because if there are any dramas on the day, it is unfortunately a cohort of young boys who are going to suffer, and we do not want that to happen.
One focus of this year's campaign has been to filter out potential problems early to avoid wasting recruits' efforts, emotions and money. Major Nightingale has introduced a new test to regional selection. Hyperextending elbows, some call it noodle arm, is an immediate fail, so this is now checked early. Throughout the day...
Why would that not have been checked early anyway, if you knew it was a thing? Yeah.
Recruits fall short on anything, they head straight to the dreaded Chowtari and then home.
These boys will give everything to try and get into the British Army. I'm not saying that a British soldier is not equally motivated to join the British Army, but the difference with these guys is their whole families put pressure on them to join the British Army. If they get into the British Army, their whole family's life will change forever. And that's the context that we're working with. 1456 Nishchal. Yes, sir. 1460 Prajwal. Yes, sir. 1468 Pradeep Kumar. Yes, sir. 1470.
For some of today's young men, the news is devastating.
1499 Sugam. Yes, sir. 1500 Sunil.
The recruiting staff are very protective of them. They won't allow anyone to speak to the potential recruits. Today is too important.
Isn't it? But I like I said, speaking to Gurkhas, you don't hear a lot of these things, like the maths paper being released within the afternoon, being told they have to pay to get in the British Army because people just want to make a bit of money. This is sort of the country that they come from. I've heard Nepal is absolutely amazing. I've never been there. I wish I could go. Maybe I'll go one day. But for these, it's just completely different to just joining in the UK, having to go online, going through the process, doing the easy assessment day, and then going home again and then being told if you're in or not. Much tougher selection. They're going up against a lot more potential recruits for such a small space. And as you can see, it means so much to them because they want to make their family proud, but also the money can change their lives. They really are a great unit, and regularly they get attached to 16 Air Assault Brigade. They always have a battalion out in Belize or Brunei, I believe, out there, experts in the jungle, and they make absolutely brilliant food. But when it does come to fighting, they are highly professional and very aggressive.
South of the Himalayas and west of Kathmandu lies Pokhara, Nepal's second largest city.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've landed at Bombay Airport. Thank you for flying with Delhi Airlines. Namaste.
It's the gateway to choose once and for all who will become the future Nepali warriors. They've already been selected as the best of the best from their regions. Now they must undergo even more rigorous tests, not least of which is the infamous Doko race. The race involves running up a mountain in the Himalayan foothills with 25 kilos of sand in a basket strapped around the forehead.
It is
And us to join the British Army as a British citizen have to do a 2k run or a beep test. This is as far as you're going to run, clean fatigue. And they're running up a hill with a 25 kilo sand bag attached to their head. This is what I mean. They're a different breed right from the start, and they have to put themselves through so much more to get in. Maybe we need to alter our selection, but we also need to get that proudness and get people through the doors. We don't, they don't have a numbers issue, we do. But that's what I mean. We do a beep test or a 2k run. They run up a mountain with 25 kilos attached to their head.
Identity as a Gurkha and carry a Doko. Like we got the British Elite Force, like the Para, they got their own specific training. Like the commandos, they have got their own selection, and this is unique for the Gurkhas.
The day before, the sand is meticulously weighed and the Doko baskets carefully laid out. Each recruit must prepare his own.
In case of raining, they are covering their blanket by plastic. In case of rain, they will be heavier than usual weight.
Yeah, you don't want water going in it, because obviously sand will weigh more than water.
This one is quite rough, so they may scratch their skin at their backside.
How hard is the Doko race?
It is very hard, very hard.
The Doko race was only introduced in 1989. Before that, most of the young men grew up in the mountains and did this daily. There was no need for a test.
Oh, that's fair enough. I didn't know that.
At 5:45 a.m, the potential recruits leave camp, gather their Doko baskets, and when enough light has risen,
Hello, finishing point. This is start point, over.
The race begins.
Yes, sir. Okay, group number 1. Blue, figure 34. Stand by. Go.
It is tough as a nature of the event because it is uphill from start to the end. So my tips for the boys is do not give up. Keep going and never look up. If you look up, obviously, your weight pull you towards the ground and pull you back. So always bend down and keep, going up.
This last run was quite dodgy because of the weather. It rained the whole night, and boys were wet this morning, and their Doko was wet. The terrain itself is difficult, uphill, the steps, and stones and boulders, and the puddles.
No time for water stops. The recruits must complete the course in 46 minutes. If they fail, they leave selection immediately.
That's what I mean. They're just fitter and more disciplined from the off compared to those joining from the UK. Once again, like I said, we've got the 2k run or beep test, mid-thigh pull, med ball throw, chin-ups, pull-ups. This is what they're doing from the off. So straight away, they've already put themselves under sort of intense pressure, stress, pain, better mental resilience straight from the off. So really good to see this test on video. I've heard about it before, but actually watching it, you really see how hard it is. 25 kilos is a lot. When you start basic training in the army, you'll do things clean fatigue. Then you'll start off at, like, say, around 5 kilos, then 10 kilos, and work your way up. And a lot of roles and trades won't even get to 25 kilos. They get to about 15, 20 kilos. Paras and Marines slightly different, but even theirs on their selection, they don't run uphill with 25 kilos and back. No one in the British Army, apart from Gurkhas, use a Bergen and wait until like they're a few weeks or more into training. So these are the only unit straight from the off that run tab, yomp, whatever you want to call it, with weight on their back.
At the top, it's time for a well-earned breakfast and relief at last. The descent is less painful, the boys singing as they go. Selection is almost complete. It won't be long now until they know.
Look at that hill they've just run up. That looks tough.
It's the night before results day for the potential recruits, or PRs, from the west of Nepal. And to ease the nerves, the recruiting staff have suggested they put on a show.
That's mega.
Western Idol delights the judging panel.
What
it's
the hell?
clear that West's got talent.
Fair play.
The next morning, it's a different story. The young men must now say their goodbyes. If successful, they're unlikely to see their newfound friends again. Many will be heading home. In a few moments' time, they'll be invited into a room one by one and told their fate.
We see a massive spectrum of Nepali society. You know, we have people from very, very poor backgrounds who are orphans. You see everything in that room, which is why we don't allow you guys to go in there. It means so much to them to get in, because a lot of them might have gambled everything on this. And, you know, it's quite a raw environment, actually.
Yeah, hard for you emotionally.
That's definitely fair enough.
Well,
you shouldn't let cameras in there.
Well, everyone, really. You know, we are obviously emotionally invested. It's impossible not to be.
The minutes tick by painfully. The staff of Gurkha Company from Catterick survey from above. If the recruits are successful, they will bound up the stairs at 1,000,000 miles an hour before anyone can change their minds. There, they will become part of the British Army, and it's over to Gurkha Company to turn them into soldiers.
It's cool how all these recruiters go out there, Gurkha Company instructors go out there. You won't see your instructors in British Army assessment, but you will the Gurkhas. I think it's brilliant. You know, they're going to be flying from Nepal to the UK, so they get to meet their instructors first. It's really good how they've done this.
The candidates is 20-year-old Madhav Karki. This is his fourth and final attempt and his last chance to get in before he turns 21 and can no longer apply.
So there's an age limit. I forgot about that. So yeah, you can't join after the age of 21. So he's already tried 4 times. So he's been attempting since he was 17, 18, 19, 20, yeah. So, but fair play to him.
Everyone is nervous. Outside the gate, the families wait, willing their sons not to appear through the railings. For those who've been unsuccessful, there is next year, if they are under 21 and can afford to make this journey again.
That's what I mean.
If
they've
not,
got the money to come
life
back.
will have to be very different. As Madhav Karki appears through the door, it looks to be good news.
Oh, he's done it. Yes.
I'm feeling very excited, and I'm feeling like I'm in the moon. So it's my dream became true. So I'm feeling very happy. No one in my family, they are in the army. I'm the first guy in the British Army right now.
He's the first one.
You must feel so proud.
Yeah,
nice one.
Yes, man.
You're in the British Army, how does it feel?
It's my happiest moment of my life.
Really?
Yes. It's my dream come true, ma'am.
Have you tried before?
Yes, ma'am. This is my second year, ma'am.
Look how polite he is.
And
Manners.
you remember what it felt like last year, so this must be so special.
Yes, I'm very happy, ma'am.
Hello, Dai.
The first thing the boys are allowed to do is phone home.
We give the boys 4 phone calls throughout the selection process. So after each stage, so after the medical, after the physical, after the education, and when they're selected, they get a phone call. And that's basically so their parents hear from them first, so no one else can sort of play games and say, oh, your son's nearly there, but I'll get him in if you give me some money. So it's to prevent that kind of thing. And of course, it's nice that their parents hear them first. It's always a little bit sad when the parents don't pick up and they're waiting agonisingly for their parents to answer the phone.
Hello, Mama.
I just called my father. He just crying in the other side of phone. They're so happy. I know.
Okay, Tabayaru, brave Hunapacha, Imandari Hunapacha. Yes, sir!
With their new recruits assembled, Gurkha Company waste no time. The boys' own clothes will now be sent back to their families. They'll need a whole new wardrobe in the British Army.
What? So they're going now? Oh, so they'll literally be going straight from here. Well, just another thing I want to point out as well. So you're seeing this officer, this Major Nightingale. The majority of officers within the Gurkhas are British. So they go through Sandhurst. You get the odd late entry officer, Gurkha, who's made it through the ranks. He's done selection. British Army rifleman up to like a W1 RSM, maybe a W2. And then he's got commission to be an officer. But the majority of officers, platoon commanders, officer commanding, etc., are British officers, and the soldiers are Gurkhas. And as you can see there, they have to learn Nepalese. So that's how the rank structure works.
They have to get all their kit and equipment. So it's like a big Christmas day. So as you can see on the table, they are the Christmas father, and then they are getting a bunch of bag. We don't know who's going to be selected, and we don't know the sizes. So now we'll take them to the room, and then if there's a big or small, we try to sort it out within the group.
It's like a big
what you'll get is there'll be no one obese there, and no one overweight like you'll see on standard selection. So it'd be more of a height difference. Majority of them are very slim, fit lads. So clothing-wise, they can most probably estimate a bit easier.
Yes.
And inevitably, all the big guys will end up with a small kit.
Yeah, it will happen, yeah.
I can't believe it's
Next
literally
up,
past
a
selection
trip
you're
to
in.
the
That's how quick
barber.
it should be. It's brilliant.
And the tailor.
40.
You feel like you are a part of our army. Without wearing these suits, you're no longer civilian.
What was the hardest part of selection for you?
Got their tracksuits on.
For me, it was a 2400 meter running race, BFT, because since I'm a grown up all in the city, I haven't run that much. So for me to pass only, it was very hard. But I have trained hard with my friend. Then I have succeeded and passed.
The new recruits are inoculated, fitted for their Virtus body armour, and measured for their civvy outfits known as the mufti. Camp quickly becomes awash with ironing boards and boot polish, and mirror space is very much at a premium. The recruits keep none of their old belongings. Everything is new.
I remember that feeling of, passing into the army in that first day, putting that uniform on, you're actually in training and you look in the mirror. I felt so proud. I can't imagine what these guys are thinking. But it's brilliant how quick it's, from selection you're in. They're not going to send them home or anything. It's like, you're in, here you go. And I think that's how it should be. You pass British Army selection, get in within the next couple of weeks, get in the next day like it used to be with the British Army years ago. You'd walk into the Armed Forces Careers Office, you'll be in the Army a week later.
The Gurkha tie. This is a special tie. I don't think you can find it in
we cannot buy
markets.
We cannot buy it.
Yeah, it's a specially designed tie for Gurkhas.
And it's used only on special occasions, I think.
Shampoo.
They get given everything. How good is this?
Razor kits.
Usually the Mongols don't really grow mustache.
People
Mongolians
don't really have beard or mustache. It's very rare in our case, man.
Yeah.
The exciting I am because son is always better than father. Because of the time, they improve. So this intake will be better than last intake, straight away. Son is always better than father. My son will be better than me, straight away.
पछाडी चाहिँ हात राख्दाखेरि चाहिँ तिम्रो चाहिँ मेक स्योर तिम्रो चाहिँ यो पाम चाहिँ क्रस गरेको हुनु पर्यो हुन्छ अनि यहाँनिर चाहिँ कुनै खालको चाहिँ स्लिट हुनु भएन.
One of the most important new challenges this week is drill lesson 1. In a few days' time, they must parade in front of dignitaries and their families, and everyone wants it to be perfect.
Make sure front rank चाहिँ make sure के हो तिमीले चाहिँ 45 डिग्री एंगलमा चाहिँ हेरेको हुनु पर्यो बुझ्यो फेरि गोर्खा कम्पनी भन्छु त्यहाँबाट फेरि के हो पोजिसन अफ एटेन्सनमा हुने ओके गोर्खा कम्पनी
It's all about the legacy in our tradition. 15 years ago, I was like them. And then one of my section commander, his name is Captain Bhakta Sesson. I am his legacy. So he teaches me everything. How to survive, how to do the things in army. Now I'm doing the same thing to these boys. So maybe after a few years later, so one of these boys will stand in front of this place. And then probably he will say the same. The legacy will go on and on and on. But they will always remember us, and we will also remember them.
The recruits have just a week to get to grips with the basics before they fly to the UK. There's a lot to learn, and they'll need their new comrades, their numries, to help them out every step of the way.
So what they've done there in their jumper is they've put a shoelace in normally, or some sort of tie. The jumper doesn't actually come with it. You basically put the lace in and it tightens the neck up and just makes it look a lot smarter. So that's what they've got in there.
There's a lot to learn, and they'll need their new comrades, their numries, to help them out every step of the way.
I wonder if they all have passports. You know, I'm just saying, is it a requirement that you have to have a passport just in case you pass selection so you can fly? Or do they get special
from
dispensation?
Gurkha Company in Yorkshire's Catterick Garrison await the arrival of their new recruits.
How cool is that? Just flying in.
Everyone's looking forward for this day.
Because Gurkha Company would have been quite quiet, won't it?
It is, yeah. It is quite quiet when the boys are not in the camp around, and then we just feel lonely.
Now. That's it, they're gone. So until they sort of pass out, or maybe they get a longer term of rest sort of leave within their training, they mostly won't see their families for a very long time. And that's it, they're now in the British Army fighting for the British Army. But I love how they get them in so quickly, and I think that's how it should be. It shouldn't be such a long process. I love how their selection, where they're expected to be fitter, more mental resilient, unlike the standard selection. I love how proud they are and how much it means to them. I remember that's how I felt when I wanted to join the army. When I passed, I was absolutely buzzing. I don't really see that as much anymore. You do from, you know, some people, they really, really want to be in the army. Others, it's just like, yeah, I'll just go and do it. It is what it is. As all of these want to do it. It's going to make their family proud. It's going to change their family lives. It's going to change their lives. I don't feel like we have that as much anymore, but a really good insight for everyone to watch. Hopefully you've enjoyed my commentary and my review. Remember to check out the original video in the description. Go and check out the Gurkhas. They are one of the best and most elite units within the British Army. Fierce fighters, very disciplined, great to be around, absolute brilliant chefs, and they will, you know, do anything for you as well. So go and check them out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.